He was a short person.
If I could have all your attention for a second, please. Hello? I just wanted to thank everybody for coming today. It's a shame that all 1,000 students from Mulholland couldn't get here, but they're all far away, and I do have some special notes to share with you that I want you all to hear. And the first one is the memoriam from Helene Barron, who writes, it is with great sadness that I notify you of the passing of Kelly Gilmore on February 7th, 1996. Kelly passed away after a courageous battle against breast cancer. She survived by her husband Gary and children Angie and Madeline. I miss her very much. On a brighter note, I have been married to Brad Ross since December 1980. We have 2 children, Matthew and Jessica. Brad is an attorney, and her kids are in school, and she hopes that you'll get in touch with Colleen, and she's sorry that she can't be here today. And I have a really interesting letter from Meredith Robbins, who lives back in Pennsylvania now. She says, I was very glad to receive the invitation to the reunion, but unfortunately I cannot attend. Keep me posted about future events. And then she says, regarding this has been a week of wonderful old memories emerging. Regarding the effect of the split grade system being eliminated and starting solid years when we were in the 8th grade, where many students from 8-7 moved up and some from the higher grade moved down. She said that the effects of moving up, that she felt it was a great mistake for her because it was somewhat of a waste of time, and she would have had a half year of electives that were never fulfilled. However, she thinks that everything was good that happened because as a result, she met her husband in graduate school. She said the only person she keeps in touch with from this era is Debbie Shapiro, and that she lived in New York for a while. Her husband was on sabbatical from Hebrew University. And she also shares a memory about a performance she did in 4th grade in which 3 girls performed a lip sync to Downtown, and those boots are made for walking. She said, as far as the memory is concerned, she dares to say that she was one of those 3 girls. She's pretty sure that she doesn't remember who else was there. But Mark Ambard, who lives in Hawaii, saw that email on the website, and he writes that it was Lena Long was in there also. And so if anybody can figure out who the 3rd girl was, you win the prize today. And there's some really nice notes up there. Please read them. And I just want to mention a few names of the people I did hear from who unfortunately couldn't be with us today. And those are Mark Ambard, Noor Amir, Carla Aranaga, Helene Barron, Martha Benko, and Cindy Benson, who lives up in Northern California. Also, Brett Bachman called that he couldn't come. And Lynn Season sends her greetings from South Carolina. She's going to be in town next week, but she couldn't move it up a week. And also heard from Kevin Donoghue, and he lives here locally. Also, Jane Fong sends her regrets that she couldn't come, but she has a small baby she's taking care of. And just going down the list here, I did talk to Brent Lane, said he would come, but unfortunately he's not here. Robert Levy lives up in Northern California. Melinda Mellis is up in Oregon now. And Judy Mordetsky and Andrea Sender were going to come, but unfortunately couldn't make it. And Mary Oliveras and Cheryl Benke. Heidi Oppenheimer is doing a marathon run today. And Ed Podhurst we saw in Seattle about a month ago. He's doing well. And Chris Ripshin, who was we all know as the rebel of Mulholland, is now a high school teacher herself. She lives in the Bedik area. And Wendy Silver might stop by, and Karyn Zellmer is getting ready to go on vacation. She has about, I think, 4 or 5 kids, she said 8 cats, about 5 dogs, and God only knows how many other pets, and she's trying to get them all packed up, and she sends her love. And Patty Yako, unfortunately, couldn't find, and that's about all that I have on the list of people who put their addresses in the memory book. Basically, that's how I did this. I got all the addresses in the memory book and sent out about 200 flyers. And unfortunately, quite a few came back, returned to sender, and the other ones didn't respond. But anyways, I really wanted to give a special thanks to 2 people, and that is to Karyn Brubaker, because ever since I called her, we've been talking on the phone almost every day, and she's been really a very great support, and I have a little gift for her, and also for Leslie Forbes, and I think she's taking your kids to the bathroom. In my mind, she's a princess. And since we really have a small group, I would like to invite everybody to come up here and say a few words to the whole group. And of course, our honored teachers, who I'm sure have 30 years of practice standing before the group. So I'd like to start with Miss Hersh, because she's on a limited time schedule, and
when did it start?
But I think Kim has something to say to everybody first. I'll have everybody just come up one at a time and talk to us. So here's Kim.
I just want to thank you. I really don't have anything to say, but thank you for the princess. That was very sweet of you, Lois. Thank you very much for putting it together. I think we're all enjoying ourselves, and it was a great idea. We appreciate all your work that you did for us.
Well, would you believe I still have recurring dreams about teaching school? And they're not nightmares. Last night I had a dream, and there were not enough books to go around. So,
no, that's reality. Not a dream.
It is reality. And as I look back on the years I spent at teaching, I wish I knew then what I knew now, but I'm sure we all can say that about all aspects of our life. But what I realize is the gift that we as teachers can give children, and the gift that we as humans can give each other, is the gift of love and care. And I think for a classroom teacher, if we make that the priority of being there for the children, of loving, caring, forgiving, being compassionate, listening to them, etc., I think that would enhance the learning process more than anything. And I'm sorry I didn't know that then, but that's something I want to share with all of you, to pass on to your children, and to pass on to anybody who crosses your path. It's wonderful to be here. It's almost a bizarre experience, like walking back in time, but not really. But thank you, Louis. I know this takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and I appreciate your effort. Thank you.
I do want to say thank you very much for organizing this too. I know it takes a lot of work to do it, but I think that you have done an admirable job getting as many people out as you did. And sitting over here in this group, we used to have a little thing on Friday afternoons. Now, I don't know whether the students knew this, but I know some of the teachers knew that every Friday, Frank and Bob, Frank Randa and Bob Wollman, and sometimes Mimi would join the group, and I think at that time it was Elliot Sutton too. And we would go down to a deli down here at noon and have either ham on cheese or raw rye or whatever. And it was, what was it, Frank? What did you always have?
Brisket.
Brisket. So, seeing these people again, it just brings back these memories because they haven't changed a bit. Now, I can't say that for the students that are here because you have changed a little bit since the time that I knew you. But as far as seeing Mrs. Brandt again and Bob and Frank, it's really been an excellent experience. The one thing I did, I wanted to mention that Glenn Zorn, not only did we meet at Hesby when I was there, but Glenn went on through and got his teaching credential. And I had on my list somebody to come out and interview for a job. And the name was Glenn Zorn. I remember that name from someplace. And so when Glenn showed up, I certainly sure enough it was Glenn. And so he was one of my third grade teachers when I was at Norwood. So as long as he wanted to stay in the profession, he decided he wanted to make more money and go someplace else. So he left, but our paths did cross again. I hope that some of you other folks that are here went into the teaching profession too. Any other teachers besides Glenn? Hey, great. Okay, good. Nice to see all of you. I hope after the program we have a chance to kind of get together and have one-on-one talk, but it is very nice seeing all of you. Thank you for coming.
Before Mr. Randa comes up, I wanted to give a special thanks to Leslie because I've been talking to her on the phone every day, and I think her husband's ready to divorce her and send her to move in with me because I've had more of her in the last 2 weeks, and this is a little gift to Leslie. You would come up and get it. It's called The Rescuer. It's a little mouse from a movie called Rescuers Down Under. Thank you for your support, Leslie. And say something. Say something. Okay. So this is Mr. Everybody say their names so on the video, when people see it, they know who's speaking. This is Mr. Frank Randa.
So I want to thank you for putting this together. This really is a rare pleasure, one of the rare pleasures of teaching. I realized, having taught so many years and looking back, that Hesby was really the golden years of teaching. It was just one of the most wonderful times. The community was wonderful, kids were wonderful, staff worked well together. Things have changed, as most of you know, it's over 30-some years. But it really is a pleasure to be here. I thought I was going to have trouble remembering names, so I found this picture and I looked at the picture, and out of 36, I think I remembered 3 names. So I called Bob. I said, Bob, you got to come over here. I said, I don't know any names. I've forgotten them all. Bob said, oh, sure, I'll come right over. I'll help you with it. I realized when Bob got there, he looked at it too, and he remembered 3 names. It was the same people. I was very worried when I arrived, thinking I was going to have to remember names, but I didn't. Anyway, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Louis, for inviting me and for putting this together. And by the way, my name is Bob Wollman. And I never thought that looking back at teaching, once again, as reiterated what Frank said, teaching at Hesby would be the good old days, and they certainly turned out to be the good old days. The situation in the system is so much different than it was. I resigned in 1977, And for a year, found out about how low I could sink and came back in 1978. Well, it wasn't that long. And came back to Kester, which is interesting because that's where Frank started out. And I've been there ever since. And got the bilingual certificate of competency, and I've been teaching youngsters that unfortunately as I say, the chip, that little computer chip for understanding how important education is, seems to be missing. And it's a whole other ballgame out there, and it's very, very difficult. The kind of classes that we used to have at Hesby show up every day in the magnet. And it's a shame, and I hope we can move forward from where we are now. Anyway, it's great to see you all, and it's just a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Walt.
My name is Sonia Brandt, and I was a second-grade teacher at Hesby Street School for 18 years. I was almost an institution there. I think I had all the children of all the families, but they were the happiest years of my life. We had wonderful, wonderful classes at Hesby, and I was so thrilled to see some of my former students back here today. Leslie brought some of her homework books and books of stories that she wrote while I was her teacher, and it was so exciting to see them again. I'm still subbing, believe it or not. I work about 2 or 3 days a week and find it very hard to give up my work with the children. But this has been a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, and thank you, Louis, for going to all the trouble of putting it together for us. It's such a joy to see old friends and former students, and thank you again. It's been a wonderful afternoon.
I'm Yvonne Zellmer. My maiden name is Christy. I don't know if any of you knew me at that time. I want to thank Louis for inviting my husband to this soiree here. I see a lot of faces. I have senior moments, so I have I'm getting there. I have about 2 years to retire, so I can't quite frequently. But it's really been enjoyable seeing you and seeing all the information that has been collected in memorabilia, because that's what brings it back in the faces. I've noticed some of your faces haven't changed. Some of you have grown into your faces, and some have grown up. Well, sometimes when they're little, they come in with big ears and noses, and then all of a sudden they grow up and they're wondering, they grow into these human beings. I love junior high. I taught 20 years in junior high, and then it was time to move on. I didn't go kicking and screaming, but I went over to Birmingham, and the difference between high school and junior high, which became middle school, was so different. I really enjoyed, I can say, junior high. That's where all the fond memories are, and that's where all the lovely young people I met, and I still have many, many as friends. We write, they send baby pictures, and then high school pictures, their kids are graduating. It's wonderful. I'll be retiring in about 2 years, and I'll be glad to retire because things have changed so drastically. But I'll still be busy within education. I'd like to be an elementary teacher's aide. I'd like to work with the little ones as an aide. I'd like to be involved in curriculum. Does anybody want? My husband doesn't want me. But I'm going to retire with a smile and with a lot of fond memories. That's what I'm going to do. I had a good time while I was in the biz, and I still am, but I need to move on.
she gave, I want to show you she gave me a failure notice. I'm going to have her read it till she checked all the boxes.
Well, this 8th grade English class were my favorites, and I was tired of giving A's. And I was tired of writing these complimentary notices, so I decided I would shock his mom. And it says, don't get shocked. I thought I would give Louis something he will never receive. He's an excellent AEE student. The current form will go, and a student can go to a student and the counselor. I'll give him my current form will go to the counselor. No, I think I left out some voids and some prepositions and some nouns. But I gave him his first fail. Thank you. What else? Okay,
Adele Moses, now McGinnis, and I remembered how much I loved junior high, my junior high teachers. I decided right then I was going to be a junior high teacher, and that's what I did most of my life. I was taught in the field of music when I came into teaching, and then I could see the handwriting on the wall, so I got my general secondary, and I did social studies and math and so forth. And then I did something I really loved, was being a counselor, and I did that for about 15 years at Mulholland Junior High School. And I too remember faces, not always names. In fact, very seldom do I remember names. And I think this was such a great idea of having students and teachers at a reunion. I really think that was wonderful, Louis. I'm going to my college reunion next year, 50 years, can you believe it? And Joe, just remember that to all of you that life is not a dress rehearsal. Enjoy it and do useful things.
Thank you.
Yvonne Zellmer, Mulholland. I put in 31 years. It's getting better now. I retired 4 years ago. I took that long to graduate. I thought that I would be the only sour note because contrasting class of 71 with class of whatever today, there is none. And it is a pleasure to look back and remember so many fond memories of that time. That's when, I said it before, teaching was fun. It wasn't just because I was young and stupid, I'm still stupid. It was because it was fun. It was enjoyable.
And you met Miss Briskew there, too.
Well, I should have mentioned that, too. My wife was adjunct to that career. I don't know why or what happened, but you people were extremely lucky. I'm sure that you're aware of what it is today versus what it was then. And it's good in a way because retiring 4 years ago was extremely easy. I'm not one of those who regrets it. I have the utmost admiration for Mrs. Brandt here who can do 40 years and still go back and sub. You would have to drag me kicking and screaming to go back into a classroom today. I'm not going to vouchsafe for education because I think in this city it's pretty bad. And I also have a great deal of respect for my wife who can still do it, but she's obviously a tougher
Harry Jarvis. I feel like I should have a baton here. I would like to reiterate some things that Yvonne, Adele, and Ed have said. The 13 years I spent in Mulholland were my happiest. They were the best. As I mentioned to some of my colleagues at other schools that I've taught at, it was when I was teaching music there, I actually got a chance to teach music. It was a case of where I could say, I like that phrase a little darker at the top end. Done, Mr. Jarvis, and it would be done. I didn't say, don't play with the instrument, don't drop the instrument, don't hit somebody with it. You just made a simple request and it was done. I could speak on a very high plane. Unfortunately, I didn't stay there. I did get transferred. I got caught up in that integration thing and so forth, and I left in '80. Spent a number of years at other schools. I just recently retired, and I spent my last 11 years at Sylmar High School, which I would say is my second happiest experience because it's a very, very nice school. It doesn't have the stimulation that I did get from the students at Mulholland. That's one of the things that I remember very, very strongly. Mulholland had very, very live students, very bright students, and just wonderful to work. Ron, I don't know how I ever survived after you left because the office went back to Kaila Ruggins, you know. He would walk in the morning and say, Mr. Jarvis, your office is a mess. 5 minutes later, it was clean. But after the day it was a mess, and he'd come in and clean it up for me again. I'm glad to see that those students of mine who are here today are successful, enjoying themselves, and I read a couple of letters that have been posted up there, and I'm glad to say that I was part of the success of these students. I'm glad I'm retired. I don't regret it. I went out with a smile on my face, and I did do something. After I left music, I went into math for a few years, and then I spent my last 2.5 years doing career education, which was, in a sense, a counseling type of situation. I enjoyed it very, very much. And Louis, again, thank you very much for bringing this all together. This really has been a very, very pleasant experience. Hopefully that we will not lose contact and our paths will cross again. Thank you. Okay, this is one of my success stories, and I feel very good about this. This is from Matt Krimsky, and I started his smaller brother, Seth, on bassoon in beginning wings. He walked in. Most kids walk in and say, I want to play trumpet, I want to play drums, and all that sort of stuff. Seth comes in and says, I want to play bassoon. You want to do what? Nobody wants to play bassoon, but I do want to play bassoon. And I can remember that Seth just took off on that bassoon like I'd never seen anybody. He was really gung-ho on it. And it wasn't more than a month in his beginning wings class. Seth is coming in and he's playing the grandfather from Peter and the Wolf on this thing. Okay. Okay, and he's doing this, and he's doing a very good job of it. Anyways, this is a letter from Matt. Please pass along my best to Mr. Jarvis. Tell him that his music teachings were a big part of my life, and that my brother Seth is now the principal bassoonist for the Seattle Center.
Students now come up and say something starting with Ron playing.
My name is Ron Plank. I went to Mulholland. I didn't go to Hesby. I went to Bassett. Though I met wonderful, wonderful students and teachers in Mulholland. As a matter of fact, I was touched by many teachers with love and respect. And after I got out of college and got tired of being a loan officer for 3 or 4 years, and somebody suggested I go back into teaching, I realized that it was Mr. Jarvis and the Zellmers and others who touched me, who allowed me to be a good teacher today. So I thank you for all of your hard work and the love and the blood, sweat, and tears you put into us all. And it's wonderful to be here with us. Thank you for putting this together.
my only D. I got the crap beat out of me, and I never got another D again. Mr. Jarvis, thank you for all the music. I played drums in junior high and high school. I got to be head of the drum section in Birmingham. And all the music led to my career. I've been in radio for about 20 years now, and it all kind of came together thanks to everybody that's here. I didn't go to Hesby, so I thank you just for being teachers, but I don't know you. And, it's great seeing everybody again. Thank you. Going in.
What happens when you don't grow up? Go to the other side of the room. Hi, you all. And, oh, Karyn Brubaker. I've been working here for like 12 years now, kind of a good bad. Anyway, KB. I must say, you teachers are amazing because it's hard for us to remember exactly everyone. I don't even know how you can even relate to us from 30 years ago. Of course, we were such perfect kids. Anyway, I've been kind of out of touch, and I don't understand what happened to Hesby Street School.
That's right.
This is for
Special ed.
For the city of Los Angeles. Why? What happened?
Because families in the area don't have children, and so where they're opening schools is on the east side of the valley, and where they're closing them is in mid-valley and west. It's demographics.
So sad to see all the grass growing in some areas. And also, I don't know anything about Mulholland either. I heard that they took the lockers out of Birmingham. Is that true? Does anybody know? They took the lockers away?
Because they locked a lot of them up, and some of them are available to students with a grade point average.
Wow.
Oh my
gosh. That must be really
So they don't use them?
Yeah, because they're bringing drugs or guns or knives. That's how schools are doing. I mean, I remember us getting our locker taken away. Pardon? Yeah. I'm sorry, but I want to see the Redskins, the Washington, like DC Redskins. That's okay, but the Birmingham Braves is not. The Birmingham Braves was taken. I know. They're sticking with Union. Because it's but Washington D.C. still has a pro football game going with the Redskins. I know they're on a Brazil. Anyway, well, it's great to see you all, and thank you both very much, and Kim for putting this all together. And hope we can do it again in the 50s. Plenty of you always sitting there, like, looking at each other. I had great things to say.
This is the cowardly side.
Everyone has to go up. Everybody has to go up. I'm Susan Knudson, and I went to Galt Elementary School and then went to Mulholland. I don't really have a lot to say, but I do want to thank Louis. I wasn't going to come. I got the invitation, and it happened. I live in San Diego, and I wasn't. I happened to be coming up this weekend because my mom's birthday was yesterday. But he called me on Wednesday and talked me into coming, and I'm glad I came to see some of my old friends and teachers. And so, anyway, this has been great, and hopefully we can do it again. Oh, you're not. I told you you didn't have to. You can take these guys from school.
Every day the teacher is found recanted for talking so much in class. I am Leslie Forbes, and as Mrs. Brandt said, when I spoke with my phone earlier in the week, you were the schmoozle with the curly hair. I've always remembered. First off, a couple of things. I spoke with Olga Blank, who is a member of our 5th grade teacher, just last evening. She would have been here, but her son had her 6th grandchild last week. The bris was in Arizona. They had just returned last night. but she sends her best. I actually saw her several years ago because it turns out one of her dearest friends are my parents' next door neighbors. So I have the privilege of seeing her when she's back in Los Angeles. It's very interesting to hear the commentary on the schools today, because those of you who did see my kids, and thank you for indulging them being here for a bit. They've now gone home with Daddy. But we have opted for public schools. I don't think we're crazy, but my feeling is, as a product thereof, and believing the only way you can turn around is to get involved yourself. I've taken an active role in last year's kindergarten class, and we'll be back this year when my daughter starts. So we've seen the unified come a long, long way. I'm laughing as I look at this group, and others have said some of the faces have changed, but other things have not. Mindy Okun still has long blonde hair that I covet. I remember that going back to Mrs. Zellmer's class in kindergarten. And thinking of which, I'd also like to acknowledge that David Samuels, Mindy, and I are 3 from the original kindergarten class. And another equally important member of the group would be here, except she has enjoyed 9 hours of the theater with the new John Irving play, and that is Lucy Lee, who, when my mother approached Mrs. Tomler in kindergarten that first week, deciding that the young lady who was a grade or 2 older than I was not a fit playmate, and said, who might be an appropriate playmate for Leslie? I would be remiss in acknowledging that she left her father in surgery on the day that Larry and I got married to serve, along with my sister, as my only 2 attendants. We are still the best of friends. My kids know her as Aunt Lucy. And it was probably one of Mrs. Tomler's better decisions when Lucy made that list, because here we are, and she hates it when I say how long we've been friends for 37 years, because it means she has to be older than that. That Hesby has served our family very, very well. Equally close, my daughter just had her 5th birthday last weekend. Aunt Lucy was there, but so was Aunt Karen. And Karen Fields, who comes kicking and screaming to these things, but insists upon paying so I know she'll know I'll come with her. Became a part of our family, our extended family, from the time she joined Hesby in the 3rd grade. And I look at some of the friendships that I have had, and the depth that they have gone. We have crisscrossed the country through college and grad school. Karen did medical school in Mexico. So, we've endured miles and marathon friendships, and you just don't find it like that easily. I was thinking earlier when we were talking about music. Lee Myra influenced many of us through instruments.
Who thought she shouldn't come because she wasn't really a teacher at Hesby. So I'm here to take every detail back to her and admonish her for not coming.
Well, see, Lee Myra has a very interesting impact in our family, because I have a Christmas birthday, and if you recall, she used to lead us through the halls of Hesby, caroling through the school. Christmas bells are ringing. Well, every Christmas at our family, and we happen to be Jewish, which makes it even a more touching story, we gather around the piano with sometimes 100 of our nearest and dearest to sing Christmas carols, and there was always one dedicated to Lee Myra, and this tradition began sometime when I was in the 4th grade, and we have not missed a year. We have, however, renamed ourselves in thinking of Sound of Music, and knowing we're not up to the Yvonne Traps, we convene as the Yvonne Traps Family Singers. I was pulling out some stuff in the back, not the least of which were the carefully labeled photos from our kindergarten class that my father very nicely put everybody's name on, lest at this age. First I was very upset he defaced it. Thank God he did, because it does help at this age. But I was pulling out from Mulholland this waterfall of words, which I had long since forgotten. And I started reading. I read it to Karen in the car on the way over. It was this racy little piece. And I started reading about 9 o'clock this morning, page and something. I thought, ooh, 1970, my gracious, who wrote that? And I was embarrassed to realize that I had really quite a little hand of pen there in those days, because it's my own. It's called What's in a Name, and I'm going to have a good chuckle. Take a look at that. But all of these things that have come back and have served so well and so warmly. Reunions are sometimes scary. People change. The gray may be there. The svelte figure that some of us remember having at about age 10 is long gone. But what's very funny is, and I've said this about some of my closest friends from Smith College, where ironically, in your class, Ms. Hersh, I wrote a paper that said after Hesby I was going to Mulholland, and after Mulholland I would go to Birmingham, and after that I was going to Smith College to become a nurse. I did all of the above except the nursing part. I did go to Smith College, and the fact that, albeit my mother had gone, I thought how very interesting life charts itself some ways. But as I was looking back through all of these things and realized that reunions are tough because people change, and sometimes there's the fear of coming back. And as I've said to my Smith friends many times over, and in fact I just ran my 20th reunion last May, it's like looking at an impressionist painting. You don't really need the details to know what's going on, and it's very funny how these years later, we can sort of pick up the pieces where last we saw, and a little shorthand to fill in the details. But it's very interesting to me that the cliques that may have existed in elementary, junior, and senior high schools sort of dissolve when you come back at a forum like this. And the other piece I would just like to add is I'm thrilled to see the number of faculty, teachers, and administrators who took their time to come back to celebrate with us what I think is probably one of the best classes that Hesby ever had in Mulholland too. Thank you, and Louis. My phone lines are going to be real empty this coming week, so just call a few times, leave like a dozen or 2 messages. That'd be really great. Thank you all. Okay, David, it's your turn.
Hi, I'm Cindy Bedik. I went to Mulholland. And first off, I'd like to thank all the teachers for everything. My kids are in college and high school now. My daughter wants to be a high school counselor. And it's because of you guys. We always told our kids, you go to school, you have fun, you be involved, you're only a child once. There's only so many years in your life, and the rest of your life, you're an adult. So, my kids are pretty much growing, they're happy, and I'd like to thank you all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karyn Brubaker. I'm Morganella now. And I missed the 10 and 20-year reunions, so this is really the reunion for me. Actually, I think, David, we went to there was like a Hesby Street reunion a while back ago. I think it was a different class than ours.
72.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad to be here. I have very fond memories of school and our teachers. I loved school, and being a student and all of that, it was easy for me, I guess, and so I enjoyed it. You know, it wasn't difficult. But so many memories are coming back to me. You know, I remember we had, you know, everybody never can remember the weather. They say it never rains like it's been raining this year, El Nino and all. But I remember it was raining badly, and Magnolia was flooded out. And one of the little boys, Rick Morris, was late to school that day, and Miss Hersh got the note from the parent, and she was laughing so hard. She said, I just have to share this with all of you. I'm not supposed to, but I have to. And the father had written that the little boy had forgotten his swim fins or something like that. You know, so I remember it did used to rain like this long ago, and we all remember how, you know, the Havenhurst got flooded at the dip, you know, and all of those things. Anyway, it's wonderful seeing all of you today, and I appreciate Louis putting this together and making it happen for all of us. So thank you all for coming out. You made my day.
I have to say one thing when Mindy Okun comes up, because I can't remember the grade, but I do remember we were sitting next to each other facing this way, and it was a rainy day, and she pulled out these pickles, and I can still smell those pickles her dad used to make today. And here's Mindy Okun. And she came very far to be with us today.
Outer space. My dad still makes the pickles, and I'm sorry that Mrs. Bergenty isn't here today specifically because I'll never forget my 4th grade year was kind of landmark year. You know, you start seeing the light of day, you realize you're growing up. And she became pregnant the year I had her. It was my first experience that teachers didn't. And we were quite sure that all adults did, but this was proof, you know. So I was actually going to bring one of my dad's pickles today to present to her. And then I kind of freaked out, realizing that that child is probably about 30 years old now. And 30 was a long time ago for me. So I just have to say that while I was at Hesby in Mulholland, it just seemed like like life. But when the years went by, and now I have children in elementary school myself, it was a really magical experience. The families all were intertwined, and even seeing everybody today, you realize that doesn't happen very easily. You know, my kindergartner, you know, it was an okay experience last year, but it wasn't magical. It wasn't Mrs. Tumler, you know. And I have to thank the junior high school teachers because for me, 8th grade was about the lowest of low years in my life. You know, it's the hormonal thing and growing up, and for all of you to be so steadfast and walk us all through that difficult time. By the time we got to high school, we were together again. But I just want to thank all of you. There's so many memorable things, crazy PTA parties and you know, shows, and it was just a laugh riot. And I thank you all. Look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you, Lewis.
Before Captain Donoghue comes up and says a word, I have to give a special thank you to Miss Hersh, because she was my favorite 5th grade teacher with the beautiful blonde hair. And I always remember, and Linda Russell used to sit next to me, who I have talked to, and she wants to get in touch with you. But Miss Hersh was responsible for me getting in touch with all these Hesby teachers, because she says, well, how about Elliot Sutton? I says, oh, is that his first name? Well, I don't know where he is. And she says, oh, he's in Orange County, call him. And Frank Randa and Mr. Wollman. And so, you know, Miss Hersh is really to be thanks to getting us all these great teachers here today. And here's Kevin Donoghue.
Oh, my heart's pounding. I'm sorry I got here so late. I go down the road, and every one of you, I got something to say about. Ms. Hersh, I would start with you because I just did this. I have 4 kids. I have a 13, 11, a 3, and a 13-month-old daughter, which is wonderful. Ms. Hersh, my favorite thing in Ms. Hersh's class was she read to us a little bit every day, The Phantom Toll.
Oh, yes.
I tell you, I picked that book up and I read it to my kids, and I was like, I got chills. I'm just thinking. I love that book. Still. I'm sorry, is Mr. Ragan here?
Yes.
Do you remember my mom? I assume you're an SC fan? Yes.
No.
Mr. Ragan and my mom used to have a battle royale every year during football season. I swear to you, it was the biggest thing that they would have going. My mom was an SC fan, and he was a Trojan fan. It was just wonderful.
That wouldn't be a problem. That wouldn't be a problem.
Well, for some, for others, you know.
SC and UCLA. UCLA.
Huh?
Bruin.
Okay. You know, my dad was a film editor. I got into television and fade in, fade out 20 years after high school. I'm standing there on this stage, and I'm getting ready to do a shoot for a Weight Watchers commercial, and in comes a gentleman. I had a heart attack. Mr. Wollman was standing on the stage, and I was like, oh my God, that's my 6th grade teacher. And everybody's laughing, and we have a short chat. Mr. Jarvis, did you ever teach an English class in 71?
No.
When did we get that class? we had it, remember? No, it was right after the earthquake. Because we had it in the drama class. Remember where the drama room was?
Yeah.
Well, I used to stack up the apple boxes really high up in that room, waiting that someday we'd have an aftershock. We never did. There's a lot to be said. There's a lot of memories about middle school or junior high school for me was I was a geek.
Oh, no way. You were never a geek.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had the same short hair and wearing wingtips in 7th grade. I was getting shit kicked out of me regularly. And with my friends, too. I mean, the kids that were 3 years ahead of me, it was always a wonderful experience. But I got through it, and high school was a tremendously great experience for me. I do have tremendous faith. There are people here I look at and I go, man, every one of these people. And I have great memories. David Samuels, we were in Boy Scouts together. That was a great experience, and I continued for a long time. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. There seems like there's so much to be said and so many things. I think right now, I heard someone say it was a tough time teaching. I agree, it was a really tough time at that time. Though I think right now it's a great time to be a teacher. I've been very involved in my kids' educations, helping out teachers, going on those field trips, being there whenever I can. Money is starting to be spent for teachers, cutting those classroom sizes down. People are starting to get involved again. It's one of the most admirable jobs you can have to teach. At my work, I teach everybody who comes in everything that I know every day. It's the only value that sometimes you place on your job because there's nobody standing over your shoulder saying, you do a great job. It's when you teach somebody and they start to learn and then that light goes off. And then you walk away and they're doing the job that you expected. I feel like I have so much more to say. Thank you all very much. I wish there were so much more and other people to see and say hi to. But I had Mr. Jarvis in 7th grade and hated every minute of that class. I took trumpet. I remember the F, though. It was the first key. I wanted to take drums. That was the way things went. Everybody, it's great. I'm nervous. I don't know what else to say, but thank you very much.
And as Mr. Ragan was saying before, this isn't the first time I've seen him since 1968. I was a teacher for a while at Knudson in the 3rd grade. And when you're a teacher, you're always remembering back to when you were a kid and comparing it, And it was hard for me being a teacher because I was always expecting things to be the way they were when I was growing up. And I remember you could hear a pin drop in Miss Brandt's 2nd grade class. I'm sure you could. The room was always quiet. The rooms were always clean. The classes were orderly, and we learned. And maybe every so often we had just some problems. We weren't perfect, I'm sure. But things have changed a lot. They have changed a lot in the intervening years. But kids still do learn. And a lot of good things still happen in the schools, and I'm very proud to have been part of that for a good deal of my life. After I left NOLA, after that was in '96, I went and I had a job selling in sales for a while. Didn't make the money I hoped to have made in it. Found myself back in teaching again. I've been teaching adults for the last couple of years, which has been interesting, but not quite as stimulating as teaching the kids, I found. So I have a job offer that's been extended to me for the fall to teach at Mulholland. I have a 6th grade core, which is the way they do the 6th grade in the middle school. It's not like elementary school. The kids have 2 core classes, 2 hours apiece. They have math science together and they have English social studies together. And I have a pretty good background in English and social studies, so that's what Mr. Tureen over at Mulholland offered me. And I'm taking a deep breath because I know that it's not easy. I know it's not easy, but I know it's a worthwhile thing to do. And looking forward to it. I think there might be a certain destiny involved in our lives, and it was interesting because I was looking through some of my papers not long ago, and I found a paper I'd written in Miss Hersh's 6th grade class. I guess she had us do some thinking about what our careers might be. And I found, it was the only time I'd ever been asked to write anything
about what I thought I might end up being as an adult. And it was on being a teacher. I couldn't believe it. I thought, I wrote this? It was like another person's. I had no recollection of writing it. And I guess I had done some research into how one becomes a teacher and the needs for teachers in the Los Angeles city schools. And here I had written this, and it's like I became a teacher, because that wasn't my original plan. I had gone to law school, and I had my law degree, and I had planned on becoming a lawyer. Unfortunately, the California bar had different ideas for me. So at some point you say, okay, it's time to get on with life. I did have some good memories of growing up, and I always enjoyed learning, and I was a pretty good student. So I thought, well, education, right? So got my teaching credential, went through the whole thing. Thought to myself, gee, the teachers I had, they made it look so easy. I never realized that teaching is a very, very challenging job, especially now. My first assignment was in a bilingual school where I was forbidden practically to speak my native language for 3 years. I was somewhat conversant in Spanish. And so when I applied for the school district, they had me take a fluency test in Spanish. I got an A on it. A level on the fluency. So immediately they put me into a bilingual classroom where I spoke my pidgin Spanish all day long. I felt like an absolute fool, because it's not my native language. The kids really should have been teaching me. So there's a lot of changes in the schools since we were going through them. But there seem to be some changes now with this bilingual initiative that just recently passed, and I'm hoping. I think being bilingual is great. I would like to see everyone in Los Angeles speak both languages if they can. But I think, primarily, every student who graduates our school should be able to be fluent in English and read it and write it. It would be it's very important for their lives. So I'm hoping that this initiative which passed isn't held up too long in the courts, and that it does take effect, because it's important for all the kids to have as much fluency in English as they can. And so anyway, I'm looking forward to helping make my contribution to that next generation. And as someone said, maybe I'll be sitting in an event like this 20 years from now. Karyn said that. And who knows? So on to the future, right? All right.
Where to start? As Leslie mentioned, I did medical school in Mexico. That was kind of difficult, and then did some more training in New York. That was difficult, and then came back to California and have been back ever since. Life is a great teacher, and I think I know for sure, at least in my life, it was definitely a positive thing that I had the fortune of having a teacher in my own family. My stepmother, Ernestine, was a school teacher for many years, and so I know that where I am today in my professional life and my personal life is in large part molded by a teacher, and I know that success can be measured by how much we have learned from life's lessons. And so anyone who's a teacher, I have a great deal of admiration and respect for. And all of you who joined us today fall into that category. I, in addition to having a teacher in my family, had a physician in my family, my father. And as Leslie mentioned last night at about 1 a.m. during one of our marathon phone conversations, she pointed out to me that probably one reason I went into medicine was to meet my father on some sort of equal ground. So that was a very profound statement that she made for me that I've been processing ever since. But we all learn from our life's experiences, and some of them have been beautiful and wonderful and positive, and I think we're all sharing some of that today. Some of them are painful, and we hopefully learn from those experiences too, and hopefully not make the same mistakes in the future. We'll certainly all make mistakes, but hopefully there'll be different ones. But this has been a very positive, wonderful experience. And Leslie's right. I came here today, and I came kicking and screaming with Leslie dragging me all the way. But both times I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I look forward to planning the next. Leslie, why don't you host the next one? And thank you, Louis, for putting this together. We really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you.
I'm David Samuels. I guess I'm the anchor here. I'm one of the three originals from Ms. Tumler's class with all of you, and through Hesby and through Mulholland and Birmingham. I got my bachelor's in gerontology and my master's in healthcare administration. I'm on faculty at Chapman University in the Master's of Healthcare Administration program, and at USC in School of Pharmacy, although I'm not a doctor, with the Center of Excellence in Healthcare Management. And besides writing, education has really been important to me. I consider all of my teachers, including all of you sitting at this table, my heroes. With the exception of Mr. Rainey, I don't remember being in your office much. And Mr. Jarvis. Mr. Jarvis actually got me involved with viola, and that was only because all the seats for violin were filled. So in 7th grade, I took a crash course in viola. I consider myself, just like Ed Zellmer said, I really consider myself very fortunate that we had the kind of education that we had at Hesby and Mulholland and Birmingham. Because I didn't see that for my kids. I have two boys who were very bright, 15 and 12, and I'm almost ashamed I couldn't put them through the LA City school system. And I consider myself fortunate that I was able to put them through private schools since kindergarten. And the kind of education that they have is very similar to the kind of education that I had at Hesby and at Mulholland. And I consider the close rapport that they have with their teachers and with their fellow students the same gift that I have with all of you. Again, thanks to Louis and thanks to Kim and Leslie. Let's just hope that we don't have to wait 10 years to kind of get together, that we can be more a part of each other's lives if we were so close in our schools and with our teachers. And thank you very much.
I still want to acknowledge Andrea Zender and David Monkarsh and David Titcher, who are here, of course, but they have chills feelings about coming up. But also, could you please all give a round of applause to my friend Joan Teglia, who was working till, what was it, midnight last night?
Beginning midnight. Midnight to 8:30 this morning.
And he got off work at 8:30 in the morning. He didn't get any sleep, so he could just be here today to film this, so some of our classmates can see this on video, and of course you guys can get one too. And just thanks for coming, and don't be strangers, and feel free to get in touch with everyone, and thanks. If anyone has a burning thought and wants to come back up,
He does.
We have a very special guest who just got here from the airport. Her daughter had a baby.
Oh, congratulations!
This is Bergenty from the 4th grade at Hesby
Say something. 31 years ago, I was pregnant.
Come around.
My name is Mindy Okun.
Please, quiet.
I just want to know who knows me, and I know everyone. It's been a long time. Thank you very much for introducing me back to the old club.
But I have.
Who are you? I know you, Sonia. My God.
This is typically seen in my house. It's very. Basically, I look every day.
I thought I heard right, but I couldn't believe it.
Life back here is different than